calling the Wednesday, October 15th, 2025 Public Works Commission meeting to order. The first item is the agenda itself.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second, all those in favor, please say.
Wait,
Isn't
we have
there
to
one
strike.
edit?
Oh, yeah, sorry, yep,
Scissors.
I already
Wheels.
forgot, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Make an
I
amendment
crossed
to
it out on
the,
mine, so.
to the agenda to strike out the Buell Street 30-minute parking on the consent agenda.
I accept that.
Excellent. Thank you. We were so fast.
Yeah.
All those in favor with the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye for myself. Next up is public forum. Rob, is there anyone online?
We have someone identified as Daniel, DSA line 14 is what it's showing up as.
I wonder if that's,
I wonder if that's
Commissioner
Commissioner Montano. Is Daniel-
Ah,
Could be.
that's what he meant.
Promote him and then we'll see.
Coming over.
Yeah.
Can always do
If
that
he's
if
real
it's not the right
critical,
guy.
maybe don't promote him.
All right. Otherwise, no one is currently signed up.
Can we confirm that's him?
oh,
Oh,
there we
sure
go.
is.
Yep,
Hey, there we go.
that's certainly me.
Thank you.
Hi, Daniel.
Now it's your
Hello.
real name. Gotcha.
And it's looking like nobody online or in person for public forum. Moving on to the revised consent agenda with 4.1, 2, and 3.
Motion to approve the revised consent agenda?
Great. A second?
Second?
All those in favor, or any discussion, I should say? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye for myself.
Aye.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Recycling recommendation.
All right, come on up, Lee. All right. Thank you all for giving us time on the agenda to update the commission on where we are with evaluating the future of municipal recycling. I'm joined by Lee Perry, Division Director for Maintenance. And Lee is going to give a wave tops version of where we are at. I will just say that I was hoping to be a little further along. The reason the memo was posted today is that conditions have been changing, as you'll hear from Lee, up to Friday of last week. And we have been trying to manage the situation real time. Look forward to your feedback. There's no action requested tonight. We're seeking input. And that there will be, we'll be formally seeking your guidance at a subsequent meeting.
Sure. So we all know about the challenges that we've been having with recycling, funding, and all that sort of stuff.
Thank you.
And, you know, we've addressed the funding issues. We're still having problems with recruitment and retention of employees. We currently have one employee in recycling as of now, still backfilling with streets. So to that point, we went to council in July and sought approval to create an RFPQ for collection of recycling, as well as part of that, we were going to develop a budget for a fully funded municipal option in parallel with the RFPQ. July 15th, we posted the RFPQ to the city website. I also emailed, excuse me, the RFPQ to all of the local haulers that are currently licensed to collect trash in the city of Burlington. So there was no chance that they may have missed it, you know, posting on the website. We posted as, you know, directed by or guided by the council a 3 to 5 year option for a contract. August 18th was a deadline. We received one response to our RFPQ, which was Casella. They chose to bid just a 5-year option. And their cost based off of collecting for 13,000 residential units in the city was $129,567 a month. So it's around 1.5 million. But as part of the request in the RFPQ is the Department of Public Works would still pay the tip fees, which we budget annually at $270,000. So their quote did not include that $270,000 that we budget for in recycling. So if to do an apples to apples comparison of the city budget and Casella's quote, we added that $270,000 into their annual cost, which brought it up to 1.824 million. or around $11.70 per RDU. You know, and we had a subsequent conversation, you know, with Casella, and, you know, we went over their bid, and they were able to articulate why they thought, you know, felt their cost was higher. One, as I mentioned in memo, is the contract term's too short. They're not set up to collect curbside recycling. They're a pretty specific vehicle. All theirs are either automated or semi-automated. They do a lot of dumpster pickup. So they would have to outfit their, the routes. They'd have to buy new vehicles, as well as recruit staff to do this, the collection. Also, it's a relatively small scope of work. They're just gonna go out and collect recycling. You know, and there's, you know, it's not consolidated collection. They're still gonna be on the same streets with their trucks collecting trash, maybe some commercial recycling, that they're gonna send these trucks down to collect residential recycling. And the initiation window is too short. It's about 3 months. So they were looking at, you know, doing a really aggressive recruitment operation, as well as probably having to rent some trucks until they procure trucks as they get into the contract. So we compared our budget, fully loaded cost, with Casella's fully loaded cost. And you'll see later in the memo, you'll see that the Casella per RDU cost changed from $11.70 per RDU to $12.89. So when we really did a deep dive comparison, our FY26 budget is based off of 11,800 RDUs. And that number is derived from what I receive from all the haulers and what they're collecting in the city of Burlington for trash. So we kind of budget our number off of that. So we did the same thing, which brought their monthly RDU rate to $12.89. Excuse me. So we shared these fully loaded costs with the administration at meetings, as well as with AFSCME leadership, to let them know what was going on. And we were, you know, we were prepared to keep recycling in-house for this foreseeable future based off of the price quote we got. So, you know, leadership was at a Transportation Energy Utilities Committee meeting, and said that this is likely the direction we will be heading. So, like I said, we're fully prepared to keep recycling, and out of the blue, we get an email from Casella requesting a meeting to discuss, you know, the basis of their bid again. So DPW leadership met with them, and they outlined, you know, as we described, the contract term, scope of work, and the capital costs. So they asked if they could resubmit an updated bid based off of a longer contract term of 7 years, as well as a longer startup period. So they would start collecting on January 1st, 2027. So it'd give them a year to buy trucks. I mean, we all know how long it takes to have a truck built. So this would give them some time to recruit employees, as well as get the capital they need to perform the collection. So we said, yeah. This was on a Tuesday. I said, we need something by Friday, if you want to. And they got us a revised bid on Friday. Obviously, Monday was the holiday, so we worked pretty quickly yesterday morning, diving into the budget again and just comparing everything to make sure, you know, everything's comparable. And you know, we have the recommendations listed in the memo at the end of you know, what we would like to propose out of the options. We are planning on going to council next Tuesday to brief them on the memo. As well as at the end of the memo, you'll see something about flow control. You know, like I stated, we charge the haulers, solid waste generation tax. And we base our budget off of how many residential units that they collect. Lately, we've been getting a lot of larger properties, for example, Northgate, wanting to contract with a private hauler to collect their recycling. So that was 353 residential units that we no longer get revenue from. So we feel we need to go in and change ordinance to allow for some flow control, especially if we want to move to a consolidated collection or something in the future. We'll need that revenue to keep coming in. And that's
Great.
So I think, just in conclusion, the key piece, Lee talked about what's in the memo. The memo really is a commitment to looking more thoroughly at Casella's amended price quote. It is much more competitive. We're not at this stage wanting to divulge what that number is, because one of the decisions we may make coming out of this is that we want to rebid at a 7-year term. But we need to check in with the council to see whether they're open to that. There was a lot of reluctance about a longer term, because that would lengthen the time at which we could revisit a full consolidated collection approach. So if we did proceed with a 7-year contract, we'd basically keep the status quo with this vendor for 7 years, and then year 5 or 6 into that, we would discuss with the community whether we wanted to get a full consolidated collection of organics, trash, and recycling. So we're planning to bring that information on Casella's bid once we decide that we're either not putting it out to bid for 7 years, or if we are, we'll put it out to bid, we'll get any other additional bids and then share those with the public. So that's why we're providing more of a general overview at this point. Want to make sure the process makes sense, and that we would be coming to your meeting in November with a recommended direction.
Commissioner comments on this? Any commissioner would like to start? Commissioner Davis?
I don't think I have anything on this one.
Okay. Commissioner Hayes?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Montano?
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing all this information, and especially with things changing so quickly, for the update here. My gut feeling is a period of 7 years just feels far too long, right? It's been almost 5 years since there was really the big, question, right? Kind of push towards consolidated collection. And I feel just taking this conversation out another 5 to 6 years is really untenable, even with what Casella, right? What the actual private haulers are saying is that it just doesn't make sense to have multiple lines of trucks collecting the different types of waste. So among the 6 ideas, right, for the options, I definitely think keeping municipal recycling in-house for the foreseeable future just makes more sense as we're exploring all of these options. It's just how I feel at this moment, but I look forward to continuing the conversation, especially as we have more details about this bid. That's all.
Great. Commissioner Barr?
I guess I'm still wondering if we can keep it in-house and keep it going. I mean, with all the challenges that we've had, I think that might be untenable. So it'd be great if there was a happy medium, but I'm going to be interested to see what the report has to say, what the actual numbers are, and if you end up putting it out to bid, that might be, you might get lower bids from other venues too. So I guess I'm kind of in a wait and see mode.
Right. Commissioner O'Neill-Levanco?
Okay, thank you so much for this. So I know that if we're using different trucks, as you mentioned, to get recycling, the ability for any of these contractors, as we know in staff, in-house, it's gonna take some time to get these vehicles. I do agree with Commissioner Mutano, 7 years feels far out, but I also know from like a truck procurement point of view, we can't do anything any quicker. And you can't, especially now, can't expect, a company or even the city to make an investment in these new vehicles without any sort of like sense of, what the return on investment is going to be. So I think those are really kind of critical economic pieces that we need to kind of at least keep in the fore. In addition to any additional increases in cost due to tariffs on vehicle procurement. And, we had presentations before about what it would cost to keep the municipal recycling in-house. And it really seems to be the staffing issue, which has not gotten any better. So I guess if we're thinking, with kind of these multiple possibilities, then what's being done? What can we do to increase staffing for the recycling piece for the city? If that is something that is solvable, is it salary? Is it benefits? Is it no one wants to do it? How do we address that? And if we're not able to address that, then we really need to look at other options because we physically need people to drive those trucks and collect the recycling, right? So I guess I'm more saying things than asking a question. Oh my God, I don't have a question? No. Just sit tight. I also feel like, and I don't know if it's in our purview to say that, well, maybe it is, if we gave, if Casella kind of said, oh, wait, let's do a do-over and here, give a price quote on a 7-year contract, isn't incumbent upon us, or aren't there some rules that require us to then give that same opportunity to the other providers, so that we really do have, a kind of a level playing field and all the information from the different providers. So I guess maybe that's the question then. Is that something, or is that a city council question about, is it acceptable to just have Casella do the redo and come up with a 7-year proposal without offering that same opportunity for the other providers?
Yeah, great question. And that's a key reason why we haven't divulged Casella's bid at this point. What we have done, starting today, given the short timeline that we're on, is after talking with the administration and legal, is that we are reaching out to the other licensed haulers in Burlington, who are only 4 other haulers, and seeing if they would be interested in bidding with a longer term. If they say that they're not interested in bidding even with a longer 7-year term, I don't want to go through the extra process of doing another bid, because I think getting an out-of-region entrant into a relatively minor scope of work is unlikely. And at that point, we can either decide to negotiate with Casella, and the legal team says that is appropriate, given that they were the only bidder, or we decide to, if one of the licensed haulers in Burlington tells Lee, yes, we would potentially be interested in a 7-year term, then we will likely rebid and go through a formal process.
Okay.
If indeed, the council and the commission are open to a 7-year contract. If, as we heard from a couple commissioners tonight, and maybe hear from some of the counselors that 7 years is too long of a period, then the price isn't as important as the duration of the contract. And at that point, if we didn't get anybody to bid on a 3-year and only one on a 5-year that was not competitive, then I think we are looking at municipal operation. So we are going to see if there's any interest among the other licensed haulers,
Okay.
and make our decision on whether to rebid based on what we hear back.
Okay. And then a question about flow control that you mentioned. I'm not sure if I fully understand it. So we need the right control, the right amount of recycling products coming in, but not too much? Is that?
No, flow control is more of, requiring property owners to subscribe to municipal recycling. So we would pick up the recycling, their hauler, if they have a hauler, would pick up their trash, and they would get charged a solid waste generation tax through their hauler, which we collect on a monthly basis, which funds our entire recycling program. So as we lose residential units to haulers, that 11,800 residential unit number that we use in our budget is now lower. So to offset losing, we would have to increase the solid waste generation tax to maintain enough revenue coming in.
Okay.
So flow control would be, creating language in ordinance mandating, we already have certain residential size units required to get so many carts. We would just have to require them to subscribe to the municipal option rather than go with a private hauler.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically requiring units of a certain size to have to participate in the city's municipal recycling program in order to have guaranteed market share.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it?
Great. Vice Chair Fox?
I don't know that I have a lot of stuff on this. I do agree with Commissioner Barr about we don't have enough information, obviously, to
Yeah.
come to any
Yeah.
sort of decision, and I appreciate the update anyway. And yeah, as Commissioner O'Neill Vivanco brought up, I am still thinking about, the employees that came to our meeting over the summer, just to speak to their concerns and their experiences, and so I think, I don't know, I just keep thinking about that, and so whatever we have to do to help morale and make the safest choice for our
Yeah.
people.
Which in another month is gonna be a little more difficult with snow plowing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yep,
Because the people we have backfilling from streets now have to
yeah,
plow the streets and sidewalks, and filling those positions may be a little harder, and depending how we fill them, morale is still not gonna be any better.
yeah,
But I think those stories resonated.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just that's at the forefront, and then, I guess, this is maybe a sort of random question, but I wonder if any of the haulers, and maybe not a question for you, so more just a thought. Theoretically, could a hauler, bid on the contract and then sub out some of the work to a different hauler? Is that, allowed within the RFP?
Yep, and that was addressed in the RFPQ.
Okay.
There was a subcontract. I forget the specific language for that.
It was allowed, but there were some
Yeah.
requirements of reporting, and we can take a look, but.
I was
that
just curious, because it
was
seems
allowed.
like that could be sort of
Yeah.
a rich opportunity for multiple
Could I
haulers.
kind of add to that question?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is it possible for them to bid by region or something like that in the contract?
We
Or
are
in the
exploring
RFP.
that for the full consolidated collection approach. This
Yeah.
was meant to be an interim approach, and frankly, we wanted to give us the best chance at getting a competitive bid.
Right.
And already with a short window, I think Commissioner O'Neill Vivanco hit the nail on the head. If they have to buy a piece of equipment, the piece of equipment's gonna last 8 to 10 years. If they only have a 5-year contract, what do they do with an expensive piece of equipment at the end of it and try to
Right.
sell it? And I think ultimately, further complicating it and saying you may only get one portion of the city. Currently, the way the service is set up is there's really 5-day-a-week service. There's a full-time job for 3 people on 3 different routes. And if you say now you only have a portion of the city,
Yeah.
now you have part-time work for 3 people and 3 trucks. And then we're having to change pickup days for folks because we don't have work structured in a way. So we thought it was easier, give 3 full-time route positions over to a contractor that they then can get 3 trucks and handle versus trying one truck, 2 people for 3 days and try to figure that into their other pickup needs in their business. It just got very complex and very fast. If we were doing a full consolidated collection and they could look at split pack trucks, they could look at offering bi-weekly service to some residents and weekly to others. There's a lot of more service options we could evaluate at that time.
Yeah.
This was more of a stopgap measure to buy us some time.
Yeah.
I was partly wondering if those 5 potential vendors are already like somehow geographically split. I just have no idea. So
Yeah.
if they were, then that could make some sense.
They're like 5, and I live on a really small dead-end street.
And you see all 5?
Yes.
They'll come down.
Yeah,
Okay.
we-
And I think I voiced it before that it irritates me to have 5, 6 heavy-duty vehicles riding on our
Gotcha.
residential street.
Okay. Thanks for letting me
Yeah,
interject.
no problem. I'm good, yep.
Commissioner Hayes?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. This might be silly, but do we own our in-house vehicles? And I'm assuming you've already looked into potentially letting them rent or
Purchase.
use or contract that, okay.
Yeah, we have 4 recycling trucks. 2 are newer. We have one that is on its way out. It's our spare truck. So 2 of the 4 could be purchased by, potential, either Casella or if we rebid it, whoever.
It was in the contract that the winning selected contractor, if there was one, would have the first opportunity to purchase our trucks at cost.
Okay.
Only 2 out of the 4 are worth anything.
Okay, right.
So the cost is much less. That's
And
great.
then, just to clarify, since I wasn't here over the summer
Mm-hmm.
to hear what was brought up, to go back to the question on the staffing issue, and it doesn't, just a quick response in terms of the driver behind that, is it because we don't have enough people who are applying, who are living here, or?
Applying, we've done referral bonuses, we've done hiring bonuses. It's a high turnover position. It's a starting position. I always say it's like our farm team, You get employees that come in, and then once they're in the city, then they can promote themselves or move to other positions within the city, which is typically what happens. It's just been historically a hard position to keep staff in for more than a year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have 4 positions budgeted in FY '26. We were down to 0 for a portion of this year. We're back up to 1. And a fully sustainable operation, we're proposing to budget 6 to 7 positions to really run the program well. If people are sick or on vacation, that we wouldn't need to pull from other departments to run this operation. So 1 out of 4 currently, 1 out of 7 if we're trying to make this sustainable.
And I'll just echo that point again, because I think we as a commission talk a lot about the maintenance of all the other infrastructure that we are really excited and passionate about, and those are the staff who are helping maintain that are then being pulled to do
Yeah,
the recycling work.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the big fatigue, as
Right.
Lee mentioned, snow removal and then plowing is
It's a
is
long
brutal.
season then, yeah.
Yeah, long days.
One other question I had, if legal and city council says it needs to go out to bid again for the 7-year timeframe, I know we have that sort of letter or whatever it is that has the updated pricing. Do we run the risk of them coming back still at something between what that number is and whatever they proposed in the current bid? Just
Right. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the bidder Casella, who gave us the 7-year price quote, did so voluntarily outside of any formal bid process. They could withdraw it at any time. So, this is certainly a dynamic issue, and we take risk with whatever direction we head. Lee and I have tried to work hard with our licensed haulers to build relationships and develop trust in hopes that we can work well together, because we need them for whatever portion that the city is not able to do. So
Okay.
Yeah.
And the final question is related to, I think the 7 years makes sense, and if the city still during the next 5-year timeframe wants to pursue consolidated collection, like, has the city identified funding to, look at it again of what that would take to commit to studying that, I guess, on top of the existing work that's happening right now to sort of stopgap this?
Right. Yeah, if we were to study consolidated collection again, one of the nice things about if we contract out the recycling is it gives us a chance to test consolidated collection.
Mhm.
It would give us also the additional time to step away from the day-to-day operations and give Lee, who's a very small team of one, the bandwidth to focus on long-term planning and
Mhm.
look at a future consolidated collection. When caught up with the day-to-day operations, it's hard to do the deep work that is needed to transform an operation.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask something else?
Yep.
So this is probably not possible, but I was wondering if, with our adjacent municipalities, if there's any way to, or if there have been any conversations with them regarding their recycling, to look into maybe being able to have a bigger bid by combining with South Burlington and Winooski or one or the other.
Back in 2019, with consolidated collection, that's what we did with South Burlington. We brought it both to our councils, I think they have a select board maybe,
Maybe City Council.
and, nothing really became of it in South Burlington. It didn't go much further than that, so much, and then the pandemic happened, so, yeah, everything just kind of shut down there. But there is, that conversation can always come up with the next round of the study.
Okay.
Yeah, the suburban communities outside of Burlington, even any community, Winooski, South Burlington, et cetera, except for Westford, have basically unregulated subscription hauling. So to take recycling for one community, but then to leave them with their private hauler for trash and organics would be a further fracturing of their own delivery system. So I think the potential for that coordination would be through a fully consolidated model.
Yeah, it's all or nothing,
Yeah.
it sounds like. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Rob, is anyone online for comment on this?
We do not have any raised hands at this time.
Okay, great. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Moving on to 150-foot setback. Parking.
Scoot over here.
Great.
Some space.
This is a information-only item, and I'm excited to bring this to you all at this point. We are seeking your input here, and then we'll be seeking to bring forward a specific recommendation for a future meeting for you all. And I will let Senior Engineer Philip Peterson and Public Works Engineer Calvin take it away.
I mess around with technology here. It's working, I promise. All right, great. Philip Peterson, Senior Transportation Engineer and Planner with Public Works. Thanks for letting us present tonight. We are here to discuss, as Chip and Artie kind of teed up here, 150-foot parking, no parking zone setbacks on streets where sidewalks don't exist. And kind of the purpose of this presentation is really to give this proposal some air, give the public an opportunity to see this, to give the commission an opportunity to ask questions and discuss with us, in particular, this proposal of up to 150-foot no parking setbacks on streets without sidewalks, which would amend the current 50-foot standard This would also apply towards irregular corners, T-intersections, unique configurations. This doesn't mean that we're going to go around the city at every single street that doesn't have a sidewalk and start putting in 150-foot no parking zones. That's not the purpose of the presentation. This would be on a case-by-case basis, but we can discuss that more in depth. Here, I'll put this in front of you, man.
So one of the main rationales behind proposing this change is stopping sight distance. So, kind of, as you can see here from the cars parked on both sides of the street in the picture here, when you have a pedestrian or cyclist on a road that doesn't have a sidewalk, they're often constrained to the center of the roadway. And so 150 feet, that kind of setback from the intersections allows cars, especially those turning onto that road without a sidewalk, to be able to see a person or obstacle in the road, and to be able to have adequate time to react and come to a stop. So as I kind of just mentioned, that 150 feet includes, the time to perceive an obstacle, the time to react, and then the time to brake. This 150 feet is based on our generally applied citywide speed limit of 25 miles per hour. So just some rationale behind this. As I said, a lot of times in those cases, people kind of don't have anywhere to go but, the central travel lanes on those roadways. And so this really does would improve visibility of those pedestrians, cyclists, other users of the road, around those intersections where there might be more potential conflicts, and does give people a little more space to move and navigate the roadway as pedestrians or cyclists.
Especially in the wintertime. So you
Yep.
can imagine on some of these streets when you have snowbanks, that would just exacerbate the
Yeah, you
issue.
get cars parked farther off the curb as well. So who benefits? Pedestrians and cyclists benefit by being able to have some more room to move, and room that's essentially a little bit allocated for them to make their way on this roadway. You can just see in the two pictures here. This is not exactly what would be implemented in these cases, right? There'd be no cones, but this is how allocated pedestrian cyclist space has been used in other cases. This is Stanbury Road in the New North End. But yeah, another benefit, right, is drivers can then have more space to see, react, more visibility of pedestrians, and finally, emergency services can make those turns easier, and also, have the same benefits as drivers being able to respond to pedestrians, cyclists in the roadway.
So the key message here is, as I mentioned at the beginning, we're not going to be removing parking everywhere, just where we feel like it's unsafe. This is going to be a tool that we'll use that's personality free. We'll use an analysis, so we can look at a street and collect speed data and determine what's the 85th percentile speed in this area, and we can base those parking setbacks based on that speed. So it's not just 150 feet everywhere, it's up to 150 feet. And this 150-foot setback doesn't just benefit bikes and pedestrians, it does benefit drivers to give them time to see and to stop. And this change protects people walking and biking where there is no sidewalk, where there is no space for a bicyclist or a pedestrian to be. And in terms of timeline and implementation, we're giving an informational presentation to the commission tonight. And then in 2 weeks, we'll also give another informational presentation to the TUC. So really, like I say, the purpose is to begin the public discussion, gather some feedback, also to give all of you an opportunity so we can clarify the scope of what this means, a 150-foot setback for streets without sidewalks. And then possibly, depending on the feedback that we get, return to the commission with a refined proposal, maybe in November, for approval. After that approval, we'll kind of map things out, figure out what signage is going to look like, roll it out, and then obviously monitor and adjust as needed. And we're happy to take questions.
Great, thank you. Looking for commissioner comments on this. Commissioner Hayes?
Sure.
Thank you for the
Oh, yeah, could we,
Can we just have
so we can see
Commissioner
Commissioner.
Montano on the screen? So
Sure, I'm
Sorry.
happy
No,
to
you're fine.
stop sharing.
Oh,
You want me
there
to
he
stop
is.
sharing or leave it up there so we can look at it?
Just stop sharing, just so.
Sure, no problem.
Get the best visibility.
Sure.
No, thank you for the presentation. I have a few questions. And I think it was in here, it was just, the slide went really fast. The 150 feet setback is based on general standards that are used everywhere based on a 25 speed limit. Is that what I read?
It's
Or was
up
it
to.
ASHTO guidelines? What-
So yeah, so ASHTO, and it's a formula,
Okay.
right? So the stopping sight distance is based on a really long formula that involves reaction time. It's, approximately 1.5 seconds for most drivers, which at 25 miles an hour is already 54 feet. And then there's the perception distance, and it's just a formula, 150. It's actually precisely 155 feet at 25 miles per hour.
Okay.
And so that's based on, that's the stopping sight distance.
Okay, and then you are saying only the what's deemed unsafe areas. Do we have any sense, and it's fine if you don't now, but in terms, I would be curious to see like how many areas we're talking about? Like, where are they, if we could be mapped out and we can just kind of see what those unsafe areas would
So
be?
we have started that process. I think we have approximately a list of like 19 different streets. And what I would determine to be unsafe would depend on traffic volume, parking occupancy, speed, actual speed, and not necessarily just the citywide speed limit.
Right.
So I'll just, be transparent. Most of the streets along North Avenue that do not have sidewalks, folks that are coming off North Avenue and turning onto or off of those streets that don't have sidewalks, usually traveling at a pretty high rate of speed. And there's a high volume of pedestrians and bicyclists in those areas. Other areas where traffic volumes are low, that's just not as much of a concern. So that's kind of where that would come from.
It'd be good to have, not that you have to go out and do a traffic study in each of these locations, but if
Right.
there are recent ones, I think that would be helpful information.
Right.
And I'd also be curious, the impact on parking. Clearly, this might result in parking being taken away from people who rely on it if it's in front of residential homes, and so I'd be curious.
For
what that
sure,
might-
I think I would push back a little bit on that in terms of convenience versus safety. We've had a lot of these discussions with this very group around narrow streets. And narrow streets has involved parking removals as well. For emergency service response, we have quite a few narrow streets where that is the situation. And we do understand that there is a factor where folks want to be able to park directly in front of their homes. I think most of the streets that we would be looking at, parking occupancy rates are extremely low. And so other than a convenience factor, I would hope that we would be weighing safety over convenience.
Well, I would push back on that a little bit and just, I would hope that we'd had sidewalks in all of these
That would be
places where we
great.
can have it. So, budgeting for that, kind of thinking more
Yeah.
long-term, and I appreciate balancing safety against convenience, but I think it's important to kind of look at what the impact could be on people who are living there,
Yep.
using their cars and parking on a daily basis.
We totally agree with that. We would love to have sidewalks on all of our streets, and I'm not sure what the date was, but I know that the commission had some kind of a resolution several years ago that directed public works staff, in particular tech services, to push forward with making sure that every street in the city of Burlington has a sidewalk on at least one side of the street. I'm not sure when that was.
Around
And so we-
2015.
Yeah, we're definitely
2015.
committed to that, and
Yeah.
we want that to happen. So I feel like this is more of a stopgap measure than anything.
Right. And I'm not saying that I'm against it, I'm just
Yeah.
Sure.
posing
I
questions I
understand.
think people might be concerned about. And also just knowing, and I don't know the narrow street previous discussions,
That's
but
okay.
there, it's
Yeah.
also can be a form of traffic calming, having cars on, but not when there isn't a sidewalk. You want people to be able to walk safely,
Right.
but it can slow down cars, having kind of cars on both sides of the streets. Why, I guess my point is, a lot of people can come in and say, we want the streets much wider, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's safer, because it tends to increase speeds. At least that's been what I understood from my experience.
No, and I appreciate the discussion. I really do, and it does help us kind of sharpen our pencils when we have to answer these questions, especially with the commission. So, yeah, that's great. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Mutano?
Yeah, that sounds like all the rights in my opinion. In light of the parking ordinance changes we made last month, would this be an example where the Department of Public Works would not be required to come to the commission to affect each of these individual parking changes, right? So thus, by moving ahead with this, are we just going to be applying this new blanket rule in the name of safety?
I think that would be the hope, so that we can kind of, sometimes when we have to continually come back to the commission with certain requests like these, it goes from just a principle-based rule to some kind of a personality-based thing, and I think that's something we'd like to avoid. But I guess that's up to the commission.
Hey, well, what could I say? It feels right to me. I do have one other question. In these, I think you said, 19 or so examples where this rule might be put into place, what fraction of those happen on privately owned streets? So does this issue not having sidewalks, plus just in general having a narrower street area, is it related to the underlying ownership of the right of way at all? Or are these examples happening on city-owned streets?
It's a great question. Private streets are just that, they're private streets, some unaccepted streets, and in those situations, we don't regulate all the things that happen on private streets. We regulate where they intersect the public right-of-way, but what happens on a private street, we don't have regulations for those.
Since we've gotten to kind of request for commissioners to understand the scope of the streets, do you mind pulling up the slide? We have a list of the 19 streets just for awareness. Again, we said we'd look individually at each of the 19 streets to understand the condition and speed, but it may be just helpful for the commission to understand the breadth. There's a chunk in the south end, but a majority of streets are in the new north end.
If my computer wants to cooperate.
So, hold on a sec, we'll get that out.
I'll get back to you. All right. Sorry.
You're doing great.
Thanks. Okay. And this is, I don't think this is a complete list either. I think we might be missing some streets.
There's a bunch of the new north end,
Yeah.
That's mostly where they are.
So this is kind of a working list right now. I do know that we're probably missing some streets.
Oh, I pulled up a couple already.
Yeah, I'm sure. I know that we're missing some streets.
But I don't know, I know one of these is private.
Well, right, and that could be the case too.
Yeah.
So, in those situations, yeah, we don't regulate private streets.
Okay. Commissioner Montana, did you have any other comments on this particular item?
Thank you. Sure.
Oh, did we lose Commissioner Montana?
I think he's gone.
No?
Said he's coming back.
Okay. While he comes back, Commissioner Barr.
Sure. I guess one comment I have is that when we're basing this off of the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, as you mentioned, and especially on North Avenue, vehicles go a lot faster than 25 miles an hour. So a 150-foot setback is the minimum that would create a safer environment. But having said that, too, there was a comment about what we passed last meeting, about giving some discretion so that the staff can get things done in a safety manner. I just thought that there was also a follow-on, that you would still bring it up to us at a follow-on meeting, but where there was a clear safety issue, rather than try and have it drag on and public be in danger. So we would still get a chance to see what these things were. So I just want to say that that's a good thing to sit back on and say, we're not giving a blank check to do all sorts of things. We're really just making sure it's safer.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, you know, and this is, honestly, this is still kind of a working document, working proposal at this stage, and so yes, I would say we would definitely be bringing things back to the commission to discuss.
Yeah. Given the wider aperture of this regulatory proposal, and the fact that this is more of a long-term safety strategy than an urgent, imminent need, my goal would be to bring the broader policy to the commission for proactive decision. But I think what Philip is talking about on the kind of street-by-street level is that you all would authorize the regulation that would allow the technical team to evaluate speeds, evaluate sight distance, and make a determination. Is it a 100-foot setback? Is it a 150-foot setback? But given the breadth of this and the fact, as Commissioner Hayes discussed, there may be some opposition and concern about loss of parking, that going through the regular process would probably behoove us and make sure that everybody was aware before the decisions were made to put this new regulatory framework in place.
I would consider it very similar to the narrow streets policy that we worked together on years ago, which was just, as Chapin said, it's a framework for us to use to help all of us make decisions.
So last comment too, just to touch on the parking, because there is just a broad feeling, and it's always been this way in a car-centric society, that the space in front of my house belongs to me and I should be able to park there. So the convenience factor, I think we really need to just focus in on it. It might be challenging to have to park a half a block away, or on a side street that's perpendicular to the street that you're normally used to parking on. But having said that, I would just say that there's also the challenge of, are these streets well lit? Is it a safe environment for somebody to have to walk from those back to their house? So I think everything just needs to be looked at holistically when we make these big, broad brush determinations of how to make it safer for everybody.
Not to be contrite about it, but let us build a sidewalk.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And that solves that problem.
But then the challenge is the people that own the land or have the land. I mean, what's it called?
It's the public right-of-way.
Public right-of-way.
Right.
But, you know, everybody, some of them I've seen that it goes right up to their porch. And so I'm just saying that those, I don't want to lose my parking, but I also don't want to lose my front lawn. So I
It's
guess
tough.
it's, do you want to stack wood, or do you want to do your homework? It's, which one do you want?
It's a good point. I mean, I was just out in Minneapolis, and they are light years ahead of us in terms of their transportation network. And I would say the main reason that they're light years ahead of us is because they have a lot of space to work with. And for us in Burlington, we have to work with a much more limited palette, and I think we make a lot happen with that palette. They don't have those same challenges, so.
I think that's why it's important that when we make these decisions, we really do our homework to make sure that it's not something that in 2 years we're going to change back just because.
Sure.
So that's it for me. Great.
Thank you.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I guess this is I think it's very important. I think, like we all feel, it'd be great if we had sidewalks everywhere and didn't need to deal with this as much. But even if we did have sidewalks everywhere, like say someone parks right at that 50-foot section and they're getting out of their car, they're still gonna be interacting with like that center roadway, to some degree. So I think there's still, potentially a safety issue regardless, and it just kind of is a, I don't know, to some degree, interacting with hundreds of other people every day, there's some luck involved. I guess the one thing I think about is the difference here we're talking about really is from 50 feet that it is already, right, to 150 feet. So we're talking about 100 feet, not about kind of the full 150 feet.
Correct.
So I think with the public, it's not we're not going from there was no setback to suddenly there's a huge one. And I wonder even how many, like in terms of the parking occupancy that you mentioned, I wonder how many people naturally avoid the spaces that are right, or not spaces, but the area that's right after that 50-foot setback already, because they may already essentially be behaving in a way that recognizes at least some of this risk that's posed by the lack of sidewalks / the people coming in on the intersections. Is this, I think you mentioned it's not the cones kind of approach, right? Is this one of those like no parking here to corner sign situations?
Yep, that is what it would be, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, personally, I wish we had sidewalks, but I'm very in favor of things that make it less risky for people. Given that there's no sidewalk, I do wonder about, at that intersection, then presumably there's no crosswalk of any kind.
Sometimes there are.
Okay. Yeah, to me, the ones that have crosswalks, that's even more of a safety issue if there's no sidewalk for them to be.
That's a lot of streets on North Avenue.
Mhm.
That's a lot of streets. And there are a lot of connections through those neighborhoods, for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty curious to see what the public will have to say about this, because I think people may be firmly one side or the other, like have very strong opinions. So I'm curious to see how that goes. But yeah, I think it's a good idea, and particularly like you said, trying to take personality out of it, I think is a good metric. But I do also think the kind of, I guess it's one of those things that I'm sure you're more well aware of than me working in this field, it's a small risk of a really bad thing happening that is the attempt to prevent. And so I'm happy that this is not as a reactionary thing that is being brought forward, because I would hate to have a situation that would spur this sort of action. Not that that hasn't ever happened in Burlington, I'm sure it has,
Sure.
unfortunately, but yeah, it's great to have that brought forward. Just out of my curiosity, what's the setback distance, if you know it, for a 20-mile/hour speed limit?
Less, probably 135 feet, that'd be my guess, something like that.
I know that as speed increases, right, the difference
Oh, yeah.
between,
Be 100.
Stop and sight distance
Yeah.
increases.
Exponential, yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's more than linear, right,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I just was curious, because presumably some of these streets are a 20-mile/hour speed limit.
And it could be the geometry, it could be the configuration itself, because we have a lot of unique configurations where it's an intersection, but it's not an intersection, so it's like a curve or a 90-degree angle on a street that's not intersecting another street necessarily.
Yeah.
It's still the same street, and that we'd want to be considered, or T intersections as well, and also at weird angles.
That's where the up to 150 feet comes
Up to
into. It can
150
be, if you had a 20
Could be
mile
100
speed
feet.
limit, say. And I'm not sure if we have we'd have to look into case by case what that looks like.
Right,
But,
and we've been actually
yeah,
taking
yeah.
pictures, going around the city and just kind of looking at different situations and different cases, different streets with different occupancy rates and, you know, different feels and, you know, how people behave. Some streets get it, you know, this is the configuration of our street and we want things to be safer for, so they're just doing it, whatever that might be, so.
Is there, in the years of public comments and things, has anyone like brought this up that they wanted a further setback on their street? I'm just curious.
Not in this case. No, not in this case. This kind of came about due to the New North End Sidewalk Scoping Study. We had an opportunity to kind of sit down and look at it, and it was just a problem that kind of came off the page while I was meeting with the city engineer, Laura Wheelock, and we're just, once you see a problem, you can't unsee it. Smile at that. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
No, I'm just.
Anyways, but once you see a problem, you can't just unsee it. And now it's this issue where, well, we have a solution that we can come up with in a
Yeah.
situation like this.
Cool, yeah, well, thanks, I think it's a good idea.
Great, thank you.
Vice Chair Fox?
Sorry, I
I
requested to go
feel you
next.
guys yelling.
So,
I could hear it.
I have a lot of thoughts about this. First, I totally agree with Commissioner Hayes' question about like number of streets, how much space are we talking about? But I think this is a really smart idea. It's just another tool to have in our toolbox. It can be context specific based on the data, right? Like the parking occupancy, the speed. It's gonna be data driven. I think that those points are really important to drive home when we get into a more, more public facing place with this, and that it's like not 150 feet everywhere, right? This is a really flexible policy. This is a time when we've been asked to keep things low cost. This is policy. This is a few signs and maintenance of those signs.
Yep.
So from that perspective, I really, really appreciate this idea. And I was gonna bring up the New North End sidewalks study also because, it was looking at streets that don't have any sidewalks in the North End. 3 of how many freaking roads off of North Ave.
Right.
And the people on those streets, the neighbors on 2 of 3 said, we don't want sidewalks here. And so what do we do in that situation where we know it's a shared space where people are walking their dogs, kids are walking home from school, right? Like the preferred alternative for 2 of 3 of those streets was to not implement sidewalks. That's what the consensus was in a planning effort with robust public engagement. That's the consensus that was come to. And so what do we do when we know there's still a problem that needs to be addressed with the safety of non-vehicular users on these streets? And I think this is a really great approach until, stuff changes, right? Like,
Right.
there are some people in our city who just don't want sidewalks on their streets, and I think the city, respected that in the case of that study, and this is an alternative.
Again, not to be contrite, but they want sidewalks on other people's streets.
Mhm.
Anyway, so, so anyway, I think this is very smart, and the other question I just want to ask, I know, like a lot of these streets we're talking about don't have marked spaces anyway, but when you paint a parking space on a city street, what is your standard for the length of that space?
Go for it.
I mean, standard is 20 feet, can be
Okay.
a little different based on location, but 8 by 20 is the standard dimension.
Okay, so 150 divided by 20, so we're talking about
Like 5
8.
spaces, maybe.
Okay.
Depending.
Going
Right.
from the 50, yeah.
A difference, you're saying difference in 5 spaces between 50 and 150.
At most, we're talking about 8 parking spaces,
Yes.
right? 150 divided by 20 is 7.5. So let's call it 8 spaces, max on any given location, absolute maximum.
Mhm.
Like most of these streets that we're talking about they're residential neighborhoods that have unregulated parking, and there's plenty of opportunity. And So, yeah, I'll leave it there.
Okay, thank you.
8 spaces.
Yeah, thank you.
Safety, okay. I'm done.
Commissioner Neovaca?
I'll take that 8 spaces and drop it down to 5, because if the setback is normally 50 feet, right, then it's only.
Okay, 5,
100
thank you,
feet.
yeah.
Okay.
5 spaces, thank you.
So, yes, I totally support this. If you want to pull your slides up, if you want to take, or not, just take some feedback on the key messages. I feel like changing your message, like, this is about safety. This is like the car park, the reallocating public right-of-way, as some people call removing parking. It's public right-of-way. We're reallocating it. And priority is safety.
Yep.
And in your key messages, I think you rank ordered it in a way that did not emphasize safety for vulnerable users. And I didn't get to write them down. I think there were 3.
I'll pull it up so you can look at it.
And you also, I don't know if on that slide you also mentioned the first responder. Right, so if I'm reading that and as we're not removing parking, warning, people are gonna see that and that's all they're gonna read.
Yeah.
This change protects people walking and biking where there is no sidewalk. That probably is the message that we want. It's really about safety. This space up to 100 feet, and I think even before this, going back and unpacking that most streets have the 50-foot setback from the corner, and this would extend it. I also think this visual is confusing,
Yes.
has the potential to be confusing
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
people who are not geeky like us, because they're gonna see like, oh, wow, there's a cyclist there and we're gonna have cones in the way. If you can get some of those images that actually can
Yeah.
show what this could look like, where there's not a car here, but the nearest car would be,
I
here.
even think the mock-ups that you do for the consent agenda items that we have,
Yeah.
For Kat.
Sure.
I think you're good, and like, I think this slide is great, that priority, but changing those images, and then the key messages, really starting with safety, and including the emergency services access, along with the other two, and having the reallocating public right-of-way.
who benefits all of us.
All of us, we all benefit that,
Right.
yeah.
Great feedback.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I think, like, the first question I wrote was, like, what's the inventory of the streets that might be suitable for that? You mentioned about 19 streets, kind of where they're located. And I think that question came up about what are the private seats? Like, I think of, Chittenden Drive and DeForest, and I know Chittenden is DeForest Heights our street?
Part
Part
of
It
DeForest,
is,
the
yes.
cul-de-sac
The
is
cul-de-sac is
private.
not, but that, right, so I think for people who see a street, and, I think many of us know that Chittenden is not, but, just being clear on that. And I agree, if this is a stopgap in some ways, it benefits all the users to have better sight lines, all of us. Cars, bikes, walkers, people in mobility devices. And I think underscoring that, that up to 150 feet from the corner, not, or from whatever correct term you guys
Right.
use. Yeah.
Yeah.
From the intersecting roadway, whatever.
Right, yeah,
sure.
because I think if people all they're gonna hear is you're gonna take away, instead of you're reallocating this space to make it
Right.
safe.
Mhm.
Right.
Those are my comments, but.
And we use that
great.
language with other things as well, right? That won't be boring.
Right.
Yeah, great job, yeah,
Love it.
love it, yeah.
Thank you.
I think I echo all the comments that have been made today. I think, and I just want to make sure I understand, so there's the 19 streets that you outlined up there, there's potentially other spots that are also on this, and so would this be sort of the same process to the I think it was maybe last December, you came with the traffic calming, sort of 1 or 2 pager of just like, here's how we're gonna go through with all the data and all the other stuff. Would there be something similar for this process so that the public knows, these are the types of things that we're,
Criteria,
yeah,
that's good.
these are the criteria that are gonna be used when evaluating? Because this is, in theory, if the ordinance is changed, somebody who lives on said street could request that the department looks at this particular type of change, correct?
Like, you mentioned volume and speed.
Yeah, so I think just
These
parking
things.
out similar to that
Occupancy,
same.
speed, geometry.
Yeah,
the
I think
intersection.
just having that 1 or 2
Mm-hmm.
pager would be really important, so as folks reach out or do a C-click fix or email the department, you can be like, here's the form, here's the process, or whatever.
I mean, it almost feels like the best thing to do is to create an SOP around it, similar to what we've done for other
Yeah.
other projects, other ways that we do things.
Yeah, I think just increasing that transparency of what the data points are.
Yeah, of course.
Helps take out the personality.
Yeah,
piece.
for sure,
Yep.
for sure, which is something we want to avoid, you know, we don't want people to feel like we're targeting their streets in a
Right.
punitive way, which is oftentimes what can happen.
Yeah, but all around, I appreciate this.
Great.
Thank you. Rob, is there anyone online?
There is, we have Sharon Busher in queue and ready to talk.
Okay, great. Sharon, if you have a comment on this particular item?
I do.
Great, go ahead.
Thank you so much. So I live in Ward 1, so I'm going to just highlight the 3 streets that I recognized, Pomeroy, Mill, and Latham. And first of all, I think that for the commissioners, if you haven't been in a section of the older part of the city where these streets, where neighborhoods evolved in atypical fashion. Some places don't even have driveways. So let's take Latham. Latham, I don't even know how many feet it is, but 150 feet on Latham is a good chunk of that street. There's no way anyone could get, well, probably a race car driver could get above 25 miles an hour, but you're at the end of the street and you're into Colchester Avenue. So I question Latham and Mill Street because of the length of the street and the what you're trying to accomplish. And so I really wonder about the safety balance and et cetera. And I understood, thank you very much for explaining why 50 feet versus 150 feet. But I think that if it's visibility and safety, I understand what the standard is, but anything in excess of 50 feet might address the visual corridor that would improve safety. So I'd hope that the city would think about little streets, very short streets where maybe there's an opportunity to make it safer. Maybe there's no need to address the concern you've raised on some of the streets that are listed in those 19 streets. The question that I have for Pomeroy is that you changed the directions of streets in that section of the city, and you made Pomeroy the recipient of people that can't park on one street can park on Pomeroy. So now Pomeroy is like a parking lot. And if you get rid of, and I think the end of Pomeroy going into Willard is challenging for visibility. I totally agree if I'm driving, never let alone walking, I can't see. But if you get rid of that, are you going to have to reevaluate your decision to move cars to Pomeroy to park where you've taken those spaces away on other streets? I think that this is something that I want all of you to consider because it just dawned on me while you were explaining this, the impact. So we can't designate an area as a parking area street and then eliminate those spaces, because what you've done is really you've done harm to the overall need for parking. And I understand the safety component, but then I think what you need to do is identify where else those cars can park because they can't go back to where they were. they're not allowed to park on their street. So I'm listening to all of this, trying to balance the safety component, trying to understand the distance. And one last thing, which is a real problem for me. I'm a short little woman in a car most of the time. I do walk, but the big vans that now people own that used to be like, work vans, but they're huge. That blocks visibility everywhere. So, the size of the vehicles that people drive and how they are really impacting ability to safely see around them when you're inching out at an intersection is a real hazard. And I agree, giving more distance would address some of that. I do agree there. So thank you. But I really hope that you look at the list of streets, the length of the street that you're designating, what the improved safety would be by making that line of from 50 to 150 feet. Are you accomplishing what you want to accomplish? I guess that's really the question. And I do think that this is one of those things where this is a safety issue, but it's not, as the director said, it's important, but it's not urgent. So I'm hoping that the commission will still have an opportunity to hear from residents who may not support this suggestion on their street. And I think that's really important. I think people that live in sections of Burlington have insights that none of us do have. And I think everything needs to be thought about before we move forward. So those are my comments. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sharon. Rob, anyone else online?
That's it.
Great. That's the end of this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the director's report.
All right, I will start off and see if Public Information Manager Goulding has anything to add. We received a request from the Walk Bike Council and Local Motion to do a demonstration project. And the plan is to put a cone buffered bike lane on North Avenue where an existing bike lane exists, but to add cones to the buffered section of North Avenue. It's the northern end of North Avenue. We have reviewed this proposal from the community organizations and have approved it. It will be going in this coming weekend for about a week. And the volunteers are going to maintain this installation of a cone-protected bike lane on the northern end of North Avenue and welcome the public's feedback and commission's feedback on this project. It'll be up for about a week starting, I believe, this Sunday. We will be having upcoming public visioning meetings as part of the comprehensive plan. We discussed that at the last month meeting, and I will make sure to get that out to commissioners and the public when and where those meetings are, unless Rob has that information immediately handy. And I will say that there are several items stacked up for the November commission meeting, including following up on recycling. I'll work with the chair to schedule, to put together the agenda for that meeting, but it probably will be a longer meeting than this month. We are planning, we're progressing well on our two large construction projects, the Champlain Parkway and Great Streets Main Street. Both will have a winter shutdown where traffic will have two-way access to every street. There will be some minor work that will occur during that winter shutdown, sign installation, signal installation. Those things should be minor in impact and will be reviewed by our team before allowed to proceed. We are bullish on making sure we finish these projects next summer at the earliest point, because I know the public is eager to get through the construction phase here, and we're doing our best to maximize every day we can.
Thanks, Chapin. For those interested in the Plan BTV visioning sessions, they are on the homepage of our website as well as Planning's website. If you scroll down to where DPW events calendar is, the first one's going to be October 20th for those of you in the South End, the 27th for the downtown and waterfront neighborhoods, the 23rd for the Old North End, and the 30th for the East End. There's a separate parallel process for Plan BTV New North End. I don't have those dates in front of me, but those will be on the Office of City Planning's website. In addition, just as a reminder, we do have Fall Clean Sweep coming up. Next week is the 2-week mark, so the media will get a fun, splashy press release and hopefully start spreading the word even further on that. Along with that is Fall Leaf Pickup, which will be running, if I didn't say the date, sorry if I'm moving too fast. Clean Sweep is going to be the 5th to the 13th, zone dependent of November. Fall Leaf Pickup is the 10th to the 14th, which is based on your recycling day. And we also had a great, last weekend, great event, Downtown Construction Fest, which thanks to Church Street Marketplace, community partners, SD Ireland, Fletcher Free Library, DPW, we all had trucks, we all had a bunch of staff, and we just had, I mean, it was dozens and hundreds of people who showed up. It's a really joyous event. I think there's a lot of energy that unlocked for being downtown in a joyous way, and so obviously a lot of hope for next season when we can really tie up the projects. So it's a great event. Hopefully you got there, and if not, check out the social media pictures. It was really festive, really fun.
That's it.
Awesome. Any questions from commissioners on items that Chapin and Rob mentioned?
I just had one. What's the length, or where's the protected bike lane going to start on North Avenue? Is it like Shore Drive?
It's Shore Road north,
Shore
I
Road.
believe, to Plattsburgh.
Okay, all right. Just
Yeah.
looking where I should bring my bike.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Is this, the volunteer maintenance aspect of the pilot, has this been done before?
Yes, there's been interest in citizen-initiated transportation demonstrations, and so we put together a policy document, and so it does take a fair bit of coordination. We haven't had a ton. There was a demonstration out in front of Edmonds Middle School a couple of years ago, and we've had another few, but it's nice to have the public get back out and utilize this resource.
Yeah, awesome, cool.
Yep.
Great. Moving on to commissioner items. Any commissioner would like to start? Commissioner Barr?
I'll just throw a quick thanks out there for the head of Church Street after our block party. We had representative from Public Works and from City Planning with us, and I think a lot of comments were made. And shortly afterwards, the movable the pylons were put in place again to help slow down traffic coming down on Shea Street. So
Yeah.
I had a lot of comments from people on my street thanking for that. So kudos again. Appreciate it.
Any other commissioners with commissioner items?
I did notice a no turn on red sign. I wanted something else, but guess what? On Union Street going to Maine.
Yeah.
So thank you. I have no more kids at that school. But I am grateful.
Yes.
I can't wait to just turn on red and blow it out. I was on my bike and I saw it, and I
Yes.
meant to take a picture, but couldn't, so.
Now that we've gotten through some of the more invasive construction around the school, we felt it was an appropriate time to install that sign. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
I'll
It's a
go.
squeaky wheel keeps squeaking.
Are you good, Peg?
Okay.
Okay. Could we just get a quick update on the paving contract?
We have had a number of coordination challenges lately with the contractor. So we've been working through that and waiting for a revised proposal. So this year, where we've landed is, obviously, we've tied up Archibald Street and Walnut. I think we've gotten a lot of good feedback from the community. Chapin
Yeah.
was just at the Ward 2 NPA, and we heard a lot of good feedback there. Working on traffic calming on Ethan Allen Parkway, and then there was the potential to begin milling and hopefully tying up one or two other streets right now based on kind of waiting for proposals from SDI. It's looking like most of the bigger streets that are left, College Street, Pearl Street, and Pearl Street's an especially tricky one given the need to probably have to do that at night to maintain GMT access. And right now we're kind of inching toward plant shutdowns, and the weather's not as favorable at night for pavement. So we just weren't able to really fit that in the way we thought we were going to. So longer streets likely being pushed to the spring, and right now just trying to wait on the final back and forth with SDI to figure out where we're going to tie up this project. Some of what we've heard is this is a good thing given the constraints that are already placed around the downtown core with Main Street and the Parkway. We do have some active milling projects and some patching of streets, Battery, Loomis come to mind, that is likely going to be done. And some of it might also already be underway. These are going to be smaller stretches of streets, smaller segments, and not full width to width. That list is on our website, and if we have any real concerns about traffic control, we would plan on sharing more about that. So that's the general update I think I've got.
Yeah, no, I'm just wanting to keep a finger on the pulse of it all, I guess. Yeah, because we've heard some concerns about the potholes on College Street. But
The
totally,
plan would
yeah.
be to do some patching on College Street to hold us over till the
For the winter,
springtime. I was disappointed to hear of the work with the contractor, but I know that the contractor has a lot of other projects
Yeah.
going on, many of which are city projects that also have scheduling and phasing challenges. So we will get this work done at the very latest by early summer 2026.
Yeah.
I think
and-
on the streets that you have the signs, sorry.
That's okay.
Like Cliff Street,
Yeah.
we heard sometime in September, there was like a notice going out, and there's still the signs.
Right, paving is coming. Yes.
So if that's not gonna happen, then a communication out
Yeah.
would be great in pulling those signs.
That's right.
Yeah, we put this, we put the signs out there and on Pearl Street when we had high optimism about having this
Yeah.
done. We had some, as I mentioned, coordination issues with the subcontractor who was supposed to do the milling. And to your point about the communication, we did have the communication go out to Cliff Street residents on Front Porch Forum, and with the intent that it was going to happen, I think it was like within the next 72 hours. We just don't have the final details, but
Okay.
maybe if we can't tie that up just yet, an interim communications in order, and
Yeah.
we can do that and pull the signs.
Okay, thanks.
Agreed.
No, that's okay. With all that being said, the work that has been done this year, I just want to express my sincere appreciation. You mentioned Archibald, and that is just such a huge improvement. The curb extensions at the intersection of Intervale Avenue and Archibald are huge, like, absolutely.
I'll just add, and I think at that same intersection, the stop sign is higher as you go east, so it's more visible to the point, I think earlier, that
Like-
Sharon mentioned about the bigger trucks, it just makes it that much more visible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
super.
I really feel like the projects that have gone in, that one is probably my favorite. I do really like the pilot curb extension at the exit of the Beltline as well onto Park Street. That shortens that crosswalk. And the thing I want to highlight about both of those and about what I feel like the work that's been done this year in general is that it has really focused on routes to school, where kids and families walk and bike. I bike that section of Manhattan Drive where the Beltline ends every day, and there are kiddos and parents that bike in the street, they bike on the sidewalk, they walk, they have strollers, they have scooters, they have everything. And just when we make those sort of small tangible improvements for our most vulnerable roadway users or kids, everyone benefits. And yeah, I'm extraordinarily proud of the work the department has gotten done in light of everything else that's going on, truly.
We'll be sure to share that around. We actually sent our transportation team out today on a bike ride to film the new connections between the protected bike lane on Plattsburgh over to the old North End
Yep.
permanent greenway. talked about how in the future, how you can really create a route to get to the Lake Monsters game on a variety of shared paths or protected bike, the Champlain protected bike lane. Getting to schools, as you mentioned, has
Yep.
been a priority of Chapin's in the transportation team. So we have a fun little video. Hopefully, we're going to be able to share pretty
Cool.
soon on
But
that
yeah.
very topic.
Yeah, just Archibald and Manhattan are feeders to IAA. Ethan Allen Parkway is a feeder. There are 2 schools back there in the New North End. I think it's yeah, great job. I love it. That's it.
Excellent. Hearing no other commissioner.
No other impassioned speeches?
Got one?
What's
You
that?
have one?
I have some, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. The items that were in the consent agenda, the like ADA spaces, are those examples of things that with the ordinance change would be like able to be done without explicit approval?
Correct.
Or explicit prior approval, I should say.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. With the sidewalk and like setback situation, I was curious if there was, if there were any ancillary benefits to installing a sidewalk where there isn't one, like say utility work or something like that. I don't know if that's the case, but maybe that might get people to be more interested.
Right. It's a neat insight. I hadn't thought about that, but I think you're right.
That there might be?
That there might be benefit for utility maintenance. Certainly for snow plowing management and making sure that you have a wide intersection throughout, is much easier to achieve when you're not plowing around parked cars adjacent to the intersection, so.
Okay. And then this is kind of a, this is a question that might not be able to be easily answered right now, but I'm generally curious about the both installation cost and the difference in maintenance for like regular crosswalks and crosswalks that have the lighted like button. What's that?
Rapid flashing beacons, is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
yep. Essentially, I'm curious about that because I think people might be, basically, maybe we can get people to like sponsor intersections or something, or crosswalks, and if the maintenance aspect isn't too much, maybe that could be done more easily. Then the last thing I will mention is the recycling. I was curious if there's been thought given to, I might have mentioned this before, or one of my fellow commissioners might have, other ways to reduce the frequency of recycling, or not the frequency, the like difficulty of one route, or the like, essentially meaning that getting the trucks to be able to cover more units per route. Something like, either you mentioned like bi-weekly or something like that, which I think is has been brought up before, but even like recycling bin areas that people can like wheel it to, and then the truck doesn't have to stop at every individual unit or something like that. Maybe that would help, because one of the things I just want to maybe put a underline is that with Casella's 7-year proposal, that still has us doing recycling for 14 more months, and that is not looking like it's going to get easier. So maybe some inventive solutions. I usually call them, when I have them, zany ideas, to reduce that burden would be worth looking into, because it seems like we're either going to be doing all of it or doing it for a while yet.
Right.
Okay, that is all I have.
Great. Good points. And I would say on the recycling portion, yes, we are talking to the union. We currently have the hiring bonuses and the and referral bonuses, and your point is well taken. We are going to be operating recycling under either scenario for at least the next 14 months. So it's very likely that we are going to be going to the city council to extend those benefits through this next year. So stay tuned.
Thanks.
Motion to adjourn?
No, I'm good, yeah.
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Second.
Oh, wait.
Oh, Commissioner Montano, did you have any other? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye.